I know what you're thinking. Strenuous, why in the world would you do a challenge walkthrough for Resident Evil 6? Isn't that the bad Resident Evil? Isn't that the game that convinced most Resident Evil fans that the methodical, slow-paced horror franchise that they once knew and loved was dead for good? Isn't that the Resident Evil that performed so badly that Capcom was all but forced to rethink the direction of the entire franchise? Well, let's talk about all that. When I first played this game in 2012, I disliked it so much that I returned it immediately after finishing Leon's story, not even bothering to try out the other 3 campaigns. I, like many other fans of the series, saw it as the ultimate betrayal and the culmination of all the worst changes Capcom had been implementing since Resident Evil 4. I no longer recognized these characters, who were now essentially superhero versions of their former selves. Any pretense of exploration or resource management had gone out the window in favor of non-stop action and one explosive gunfight after another. It simply bore no resemblance to the Resident Evil that I knew. So what changed? Why have I had a change of heart about the game that fully transformed the quiet, suspenseful horror series I once loved into an incredibly loud, stupid, QTE-ridden monstrosity? Well, the easiest answer I can give is that I think Resident Evil 6 is a pretty good, incredibly loud, stupid, QTE-ridden monstrosity. It's a game that values over-the-top spectacle above all else, and completely eschews any semblance of subtlety. This is a game where you jump a motorcycle over a helicopter and kill a zombie shark by blowing it up with a big barrel of dynamite. There's something to be said for the utter shamelessness of Resident Evil 6. It's not trying to be an old-school Resident Evil game, and I think that it is best served by being taken on its own terms. There will always be people who hate this game for what it represents, but I think that now that the franchise has returned to its roots a little bit with RE7 and the RE2 remake, it's easier to look back at this game and appreciate it for the insane roller coaster that it is. Rather than a disappointing rut, RE6 can now be seen as a fun if flawed entry into a fantastic series that continues to evolve. If you're a Resident Evil fan watching this who didn't like RE6 or never bothered to pick it up, I hope this video series will inspire you to give it another shot. It's not a perfect game by any means, there are definitely some aspects of it that still drive me a little crazy, but I've found that the process of getting to know this game intimately has really improved my opinion of it. The game has some very fun mechanics to exploit. The problem is that it often does a piss-poor job of explaining those mechanics to you, so most people don't get as much out of RE6 as they should, at least on a first playthrough. Getting good at this game's combat by incorporating melee, counterattacks, well-timed explosives, and things of that nature is a very satisfying experience, and one that has made this game rather addicting for me despite its problems. In fact, and this will probably sound like heresy to most Resident Evil fans, I've gotten much more replay value out of RE6 than other games in the franchise that are technically better, such as RE4. So take that for whatever it's worth. Now that I've gotten my general thoughts about this game out of the way, let's talk about the purpose of this particular video series. The goal here is to show how to achieve the highest possible ranking, an S, for each chapter on the game's highest difficulty, No Hope. On top of that, we're going to do this on New Game, meaning we won't have access to any of the weapons or healing items we've unlocked in previous playthroughs. Throughout this series, I'm going to be providing general gameplay advice and showing strategies for dealing with specific encounters. This initial batch of videos will only cover Leon's campaign, which is easily the best out of the 4 in my opinion, but I may cover Chris, Jake, and Ada's campaigns at some point down the line if I feel like it. We'll see. No Hope difficulty is a challenge that can definitely seem overwhelming at first. Compared to No Hope, every other difficulty, even professional mode, is a cakewalk. This is for a variety of reasons. Firstly, enemies deal insane amounts of damage to you. For example, a grab from a zombie will usually take off 5 of your 6 health blocks. Secondly, the enemies in this game, especially the higher level enemies, turn into absolute tanks. For this reason, saving up your ammo is of the utmost importance. In this way, No Hope actually brings RE6 closer to early games of the franchise by forcing you to manage your resources very carefully. The other big change in No Hope is that, unlike in every other difficulty, your health does not get fully replenished when you die and respawn at a checkpoint, making the already scarce health items in this game even more of a precious commodity. Achieving an S ranking is contingent on achieving an A ranking in all 4 of the categories used to determine one's ranking at the end of each chapter. Those 4 categories are accuracy, deaths, clear time, and enemies killed. The specific requirements for clear time and enemies killed vary from chapter to chapter, while accuracy and deaths are the same across the board. The accuracy requirement for every chapter in this game is 70%, which is pretty reasonable provided you're shooting with intent and not just spamming the fire button. You're actually allowed to die twice and still achieve an S ranking, but for the purposes of this walkthrough, we're going deathless because it just feels so good to see that big fat 0 at the end of the chapter. So now that I've talked your ear off, let's get to the actual playthrough, shall we? I took the liberty of skipping the intro to this campaign, as it's essentially one extremely long, boring, pointless 10-minute walking section without any notable combat or strategy to speak of. The only things I want to note from the game's intro is that there is a first aid spray on top of a staircase that you should get, and that you can simply dive and roll past the first set of zombies you meet in the elevator. So without further ado, let's get into Chapter 1 of Leon's campaign. Like I said in the intro, ammo management is really our top priority here. For that reason, the knife is going to be our best friend, especially in the early going. Generally speaking, if you're able to get a zombie one-on-one, you'll want to take it out with a combination of knife attacks and melee attacks. The knife is very good at getting zombies into a dazed state with just a few swipes, allowing you to perform a devastating grab attack that will kill them instantly more often than not. If an enemy is on the ground, performing an R2 attack with the knife equipped will generally one-shot them.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
When knifing a zombie, you'll want to stay behind them as much as possible. In fact, it's really not a good idea to ever stand directly in front of a zombie at close range. Here you'll see me perform my first counter attack. A very tricky technique to master, but one that will prove to be an absolute lifesaver for you on No Hope, should you be able to get it down. I'll explain more about how to pull them off in a minute, but for this encounter just mash R2 as you open the door and you should be able to successfully perform a counter attack against the jumping zombie. From there, immediately go ahead and kill the 2 remaining zombies with the knife. I'm about to perform a sneak attack. It's relatively rare that you can catch a zombie off guard in this game, but you should take advantage of it every time, as getting behind them and following the R2 prompt will kill them instantly. There is a zombie on the ground next to this particular zombie that will try to leap at you, so I recommend immediately rolling away from it by pressing X while holding forward and L2. I am playing on a PS4, so the language I use to describe the button inputs will correspond with a PS4, but obviously you can go ahead and map that to whatever console you're using, or PC. Now here, you're about to see me perform another counterattack. These are very important. The way counterattacks work is that if you press R2 at a very precise moment in an enemy's animation, you will interrupt their attack and perform a very powerful counter, which in the case of zombies will kill them instantly. The problem with counterattacks is that your window for doing them is incredibly small, like a fraction of a second small. For this reason, they aren't used by most players, as the risk isn't usually worth the reward. However, there is a way to make performing a counterattack significantly more viable using a technique called aim countering. The way it works is that if you tap L2 to raise your weapon, you won't be able to perform any action aside from context-sensitive button prompts for about 1 to 2 seconds. A counterattack is one of these button prompts. So what you'll want to do is stand in front of an enemy and wait for their attack animation to begin. Then tap L2 to aim your weapon and immediately start mashing R2. If all goes well, you'll successfully counter the enemy without doing an unwanted melee attack. It's not exactly easy to perform, and the counter for each enemy has a slightly different timing.
Sorry, not from
It'll
here.
require some practice, but aim countering will prove to be a massive advantage, particularly when dealing with enemies like Bloodshots. When watching this playthrough, play close attention to when I raise my weapon just before the counterattack. I'm serious, you're gonna want to get this down. And this is just one of those many things that this game doesn't really bother to explain to you, but that is very useful should you decide to take advantage of it.
You got it.
Keep that trigger finger ready. Never know what's around the next corner.
Got it. Roger.
Now, one important thing for this hallway ambush is to never stand too close to the windows, because zombies will be able to leap through them and grab you.
And again, the door's locked.
Preferably, you'll want to stay at one end of the hallway and just blast zombies with your handgun. Take advantage of any openings you have for grabs and counterattacks along the way, but generally you'll just want to blast away.
Can't take them all.
Now we know where all the infected were.
There are a couple of fire extinguishers that are in this hallway that you can shoot, and when they explode they will deal massive damage to the zombies. So if you see a bunch of them standing around next to an extinguisher, that would be a good time to shoot it and blow them up like you just saw there.
This is some pretty tight security for a college campus.
gotta get out of here.
I've almost got it. Hang on. It's open. Get out of there now.
Switch to the knife to fend off the zombies in the door so that you don't waste handgun ammo. And then after that, you'll want to make sure and loot the handgun ammo from the desks that are in the next couple of rooms.
After another.
In the last room, you're going to need to grab a key card. And there is a zombie laying on the floor next to the key card. And dealing with zombies that are on the ground is actually a really annoying part of this game, particularly in the first chapter or so. So what you'll want to do is grab the key card and then run along the edge of the bookshelf here and get out just far enough that it'll do a leap attack towards you. And then you can just sort of run around it and one-shot it with the knife. Floor zombies do have a tendency to grab you as soon as you get close, so you need to be extremely careful when trying to bait them out.
Roger.
Should have known better.
here, you'll want to just sprint to the car as fast as you can.
Take a right
It
up
is
ahead.
possible to get grabbed here,
You're almost there.
so be
Keep moving.
careful not to run into any zombies.
I think we just found our ride out of here. Damn it, no keys.
Are you sure?
What about the glove compartment?
No, nothing.
Check.
Should we hotwire it?
Hold on. Found the keys.
It's clear behind us. Back up.
You buckled in?
Yeah.
Made it off campus. Now we just gotta get through town.
Without getting killed.
Shit!
Leon, Helena, are you two all right?
Hanging in there. But we need another way to the cathedral.
Well, I found an underground route that may be safer.
The sewers, huh? Great.
You got it. Let's get moving. We don't have much time.
Certainly got our work cut out for us.
Believe me. I know.
Leon, Helena, we'll be out of contact when you're in there. I'll still be tracking your movements, but be careful.
Train coming!
Just run past all the zombies here and use the button prompt to avoid the train. With any luck, the train should kill most, if not all, the
Train's
zombies.
still running.
There was no one at the controls. Zombie Express.
Now here we're going to meet our first dogs. The dogs are some of the hardest enemies to counter because of the fact that their attacks don't really have strong visual cues. You kind of just need to learn roughly how far away from a dog you need to be for the dog to jump at you, and time your aim counter accordingly. Again, it does take some practice, but it is much easier in the long run than trying to kill them with your handgun, which is both very dangerous and uses a lot of ammo. When it comes to countering a zombie's leap attack, what you'll want to do is look out for their tell, which is they'll sort of hunch down and scream at you right before they're about to jump. Now, you'll want to start your aim counter right towards the end of that animation where they're just sort of hunkered down there.
How's that for timing?
Mine's out too. Almost blind here.
Now once again, you'll want to sprint past all these zombies while mostly sticking to the right hand side, as you'll want the train to take out as many of them as possible. I know it looks kind of scary with how close the train comes to you, but so long as you make it a point to run to the left on time, you should be able to avoid it safely.
We're not getting that open.
I want to have a look around in there. Boost me up on top.
Just don't leave me behind.
Roger.
Thanks for that.
It is possible to run past most of the zombies on this train, but really it's best to kill as many enemies as possible in this run. In fact, we're going to far surpass the number of enemy kills required to get an S ranking. There are two main reasons for this, the biggest of which is that it's ultimately just safer. It's possible to run past a lot of the enemies in this game, but you'll find yourself bottlenecked at certain points, and you really don't want a crowd of enemies swarming you and killing you. It's much safer in the long run to methodically pick them off one by one. Now, the second reason to kill a lot of them is that enemies drop ammo, and you're going to need a lot of ammo for certain parts of the game, particularly bosses. So, So long as you're making proper use of your knife and melee attacks, you should be gaining more ammo than you're losing while killing these enemies.
Hey! Hey! I need you to open this door! Hurry! I have to St. Peter! Please!
We'll never get to the cathedral at this rate.
Wait, no! Don't open that!
I like to use remote bombs here to take care of some of these zombies. There are a lot of them packed into this doorway here, including some spitters, which, as we've established, are very difficult to deal with. Just wait a few seconds here for a few of them to walk out, and then hit them with the remote bomb. I like to go in afterwards for good measure and place another remote bomb to take care of the rest of the zombies on the stairs. Now, one interesting note about the remote bombs is that if you have them equipped and you do an L2 slide while sprinting, you will automatically place a remote bomb. So you actually don't need to stop at all to place a bomb on the ground. Again, just another one of these mechanics that the game never tells you, but once you find out, it's actually pretty cool and useful.
You made it. You can reach the street level from there.
What are conditions like up there?
It's gotten pretty bad. Hell on Earth isn't much of a stretch.
Roger.
You two will have to cross that part of town to get to the cathedral. Keep your lines open in case you run into trouble.
Helena, car! Why do I feel like this is just a tip of the iceberg? Hold on, I'll get you out.
He's right. Everything's going to hell.
case of deja vu.
You're gonna be all over us with that alarm going off.
Only if we wait here. Come on. Guess we're not
Roger.
going that way.
Good idea. It'd be safer if you keep indoors as much as possible.
Maybe we can even catch our breath.
Didn't you hear me say we have to hurry?
Navy submarine went missing on the 26th of this month at 11:27 p.m.
Damn it, it's locked.
The Navy submarine went missing on the 26th of this month at 11:27 p.m. However, a final transmission was received from the vessel before its disappearance.
Grab the shotgun and run through the door to meet your first Shrieker. These enemies can really be a pain to deal with, especially if you don't kill them quickly. What you'll want to do here is immediately jump through the window to your right with the shotgun equipped, get in front of the Shrieker and fire off a quick shot. If you're lucky, his neck and chest area should puff up, which is your cue to hit him with a shotgun at point blank range. If done correctly, he'll let out a scream that will instantly vaporize all nearby zombies. In this way, Shriekers can actually be more help than harm in certain situations. Generally speaking, if you see a Shrieker with its chest enlarged, you'll want to run up and shoot them with a shotgun. Otherwise, you're probably going to be in for a lot of running around and a lot of wasted ammo.
Up and over.
Immediately take care of the zombie to your right here, and then go over to the left and shoot the barrel with your handgun to take out a few zombies on the lower level.
survivors. Come on. We have to help them. Die, you cannibal freak! Where the hell are they coming from? First day of the cop and already I'm in a shootout. I'll die before I see myself. You kidding me? I don't need you slowing me down. Stay calm, people. Shoot the target before shooting. Who made you the leader?
Peter, wait!
Forget it. He'll just get you killed.
Shoot this Shrieker as soon as he jumps down off the truck to trigger his zombie killing scream. After that, immediately head to the other side of the arena before the truck barrels through. This truck comes out of nowhere and will literally instantly kill you if it so much as clips you, which is some bullshit if you ask me.
Someone shoot the gas! We can blow these things to Kingdom Come! There's a gunshot up ahead. We can rearm there. We'll probably find the people they're taking. What do you think?
Roger.
Hey! Is anyone here?
Yeah, me! I'm holed up on the second floor. Be it!
Come on, man! Open up!
The gun shop section is the reason we've been hoarding all of our handgun ammo to this point. It's a very long, very tense section,
Who does he think we are?
and you'll want to keep your head on a swivel. I recommend staying on this particular side of the shop, as far more zombies will try to enter the gun shop on this side. At the same time, you'll want to keep an eye out on the other side, because a zombie will occasionally come through and sneak up on you like you're going to see one did to me in a minute here. For the most part, you'll want to just try to keep the zombies from entering as much as you can. Don't get too close to the windows though, because like with the hallway section, zombies do have the capability of leaping through the windows and grabbing you that way, which is really no fun. So you'll want to try to remain as close to the center of the shop as you can during all of this.
Take my hand! Are you okay? What, are you crazy? Spare the heroics! She's just slowing us down anyway!
What's the matter with you? She's your girlfriend, isn't she?
No! Stay back! Get the hell away from me!
No!
And here we meet our first Bloodshot. These enemies are very dangerous and take an enormous amount of ammo to kill normally. It is absolutely vital for this run that you learn how to counter these enemies. If you have room, it's best to keep your distance and try to bait them into their leap attack, because countering this attack will typically kill them instantly. In close quarters, they do a swipe attack that can be countered, but it will take several successful counters of this attack before they actually die. Again, you must learn how to counter the Bloodshots. It is absolutely crucial to completing this run and saving ammo, because like I said, they will take up a ton of your ammo if you just try to shoot them.
Pretty quiet down there. You guys still breathing?
For the time being.
As soon as the shopkeeper starts speaking, you can run upstairs and wait for him to open the door for you.
Before it changed my mind.
Once you get inside, quickly loot the herb and the shotgun ammo from the drawer before the second wave of enemies begins. This is the hardest part of the chapter, in my opinion.
Nice work down there. Good news is, I got some folks coming for me in a bus. Any minute now. If we can make it on board, it's a straight shot to Tall Oaks Cathedral. People are evacuating there. Heard it on the radio. But that's a big if. It's a shitstorm out there. We ain't waiting for any stragglers. Japanese dude!
I recommend staying in front of this left window at first and exploding the first couple of enemies that you see. After that, I suggest that you run back to the corner of the room and start picking off as many enemies as you can from a distance. This room will start to get crowded very quickly in all likelihood. If your corner of the room gets a little too crowded for comfort, sprint to the other side of the room to get a little space for yourself. You want to kill enemies as quickly as possible here so that the room doesn't fill up more than it needs to. Feel free to use a remote bomb or an incendiary grenade if you feel like you have to.
We can't hold out here. Get into the next room. Come on, people!
Once you get into the next room, make sure to grab the other herb and more shotgun ammo from the two drawers. And at this point, we're about to meet our first of another enemy type called the Whopper. The Whoppers aren't too difficult to avoid because they're not very fast, but they are incredibly tanky, especially on no hope mode. I recommend shooting his legs with the shotgun here, because eventually he will fall to his knee and let you perform a very powerful melee attack on him. Also, if you can, be sure to run up and press circle to save your allies if he grabs them. He can't kill them, but it's another opportunity to do a powerful melee attack. I highly recommend staying in this room as opposed to the other room, because enemies will pour in through the other room and have a very high likelihood of catching you off guard while you're trying to focus on the Whopper. With any luck, the NPCs will kill the majority of the enemies, the smaller enemies that is, and you'll probably only have to kill 1 or 2 as long as you stay in the right room. Before you run upstairs, be sure to go through that door and grab the incendiary grenades on the shelf. Pick up the remote bomb before heading outside and you immediately place the bomb by the railing. Wait for the Whopper to climb over, detonate the bomb, melee the Whopper, and repeat. From there, it's really just about dealing with more zombies and more bloodshots.
Crash! Got it! Crash!
Help him up. I'll cover you.
Hold on! I'm gonna pull you up! Forget about me! Just look after yourself!
After the cutscene, wait a few seconds for the door to open behind you, then climb down and head for the bus. couple of zombies did follow me down here, which is extremely rare. In fact, this is the first and only time this has happened to me. Unfortunately, I did get grabbed, but I still have a first aid spray to bring myself back to full health, luckily. Once you're on the bus, just focus on unloading as many shots into the Whopper as possible, while also keeping an eye out on any enemies trying to work their way into the bus. You're probably going to be forced to deal with at least one bloodshot here. I highly recommend that you stay near the back of the bus because there are spitters near the front who will easily snipe you if you get too close. It's going to take a lot of ammo to take out the Whopper, but again, this is why we were so stingy with our ammo in the early part of the game. Alright, that's pretty much it for the first chapter of S-Rank No Hope for Leon's campaign in Resident Evil 6. Hope to see you again for part 2. Later, guys.